So on this lovely day, we are indeed going to find the midpoint of a segment. That's our big thing. And we're going to be using a coordinate plane, so like x and y, or just on a flat number line. So first off, what is the midpoint? We've already talked about this, so this is review. But a midpoint, if I have a segment and AB, it is the super special point right there such that we have congruence. Such that we have congruence. You often will say point in the middle. It's the point in the middle such that it creates congruentness all around. Okay, so the properties over here is at the moment that M is the midpoint, we have AM and segment AM, so let me clean that up. Segment AM, I'm going to put the little tilde above, is congruent to segment MB. And you could state it in a slightly faster way, just saying that their measures are equal. So that means I don't need to have the segment symbol above. All right, so that's by way of review. Now, what about the midpoint on a number line? One way to do this is just to find the average. We add the two coordinates together and divide by 2. The other way to do it takes more work, but you could, if you forget the formula or whatever, just go, I got to count these. And this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, and then you cut that in half. That gets pretty complicated. So the easiest thing to do is just to take the coordinate of A, which is -4. We're going to add that to the coordinate of B, which is +9, and we're going to divide by 2. That's called the average or the mean, also known as the mean. Now, this work here, we just continue on, and we get our 5/2. So the answer is 2.5, 2.5. 5/2 is an answer as well, but 2.5 is probably a clean one. So if you were asked to plot the point, you would go, oops, what's my mistake here? What's my mistake here? Good, so I do indeed make a mistake every so often, just to mess with your head, and I'm going to shift that over. So here is actually where the point is, so that would be 2.5 right there. Good, so this is dealing with the one-dimensional world, the first dimension, okay? It's just the length, that's it. So when we're dealing with finding the midpoint one-dimensionally, all we have to do is take the average. No big whoop. However, things change when we shift our life to the 2 dimensions, which will be a plane. In the 2 dimensions, what we have to try to figure out is, where is my midpoint if I were to connect the dots here? Connect those dots, roughly guessing my midpoint is somewhere around here, but I don't want to just guess and throw it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, so how do I find it? Well, it turns out that all we have to do is find the average in this direction, because look, the average is somewhere there, and find the average in this direction right here, which is somewhere here. And when you connect them like this, there's going to be your midpoint. So instead of finding one average, you're going to find 2 averages. I know, crazy. So here's how you find the midpoint. Notice I'm not actually going to put an equal sign. I'm just going to put M for midpoint. And it gets a little bit complicated, so watch out. What we're going to do, we add the x's together, x1 plus x2. That means my first x coordinate plus the second x coordinate. And we divide that puppy by 2, because it's the average of the x's. And then we're going to add the y's together, my vertical component, and divide that by 2. So effectively the average of the x's, the average of the y's. So how do we work on it with this? Eyes on deck, all we have to do is this. We take the 2 of these, and the order does matter, so beware. If I start at -3 here and add this direction, then I should start at -2 here and add in that direction. So just be consistent in the direction in which you add. It doesn't matter where you start. I could say 5 plus a -3, 4 plus a -2. It doesn't matter. But as long as you go in that same direction. All right, so I'm going to start at -3, so -3 plus the 5 all divided by 2. And then for the blue, over here is negative 2 plus the 4. Negative 2 plus the 4, all divided by 2. And notice I'm finding the point M. All right, so now we just have to simplify this. And for the red, we get negative 3 is going to get, sorry, not negative, but positive there. So positive 2 all over 2. And then for the blue, I get 2 also over 2. Now I'm not quite done yet. I just have to finish it up. So my final result is that my midpoint is 1 dash 1. And notice I have to write it as a point. My answer is not x equals 2 or y equals 3. The answer is parentheses 1 comma 1. I have to write it using a point notation. So just like in Jeopardy, here we are given one endpoint and we're given one midpoint. And we're told that the midpoint's name is M. So here's my midpoint here. And this one here is my endpoint. There are 2 ways to set this one up and solve it. So by way of example, let's look at it as a graph over here. If I want to find the midpoint, excuse me, I already have the midpoint, and here's A being at 2, 2. So where the Gehenna is B? Where is B? So what do I do? Well, here's the long way to do it, and this is how the book sets it up, is they say A, my 2, plus this unknown number up here, so 2 plus x, and when you divide that by 2, you're going to get this midpoint there. Yay! Now unpack that. And since you have lots of extra time on your hands, now we're going to take the average of those unknown right there, 2 plus x, and when you divide that by 2, you're going to get the midpoint there, the coordinate of the midpoint there, 5. Now you have to solve this. Now, I have better things to do, like making cookies and eating them. So, let's make a faster way to do this. How do we make it faster? Well, as mathematicians, let's think about a faster way. Graphically, if we look at the change, notice that from A to M, I go up 1, 2, 3. So I go up 3. Which means I'm going to repeat that process and go up 3 more. So since y describes your vertical ascent, all I'm going to do is add 3. So that's going to get me to Chito Loquito there. Now, the same process here. To get from A to M, all I have to do is go right 1, which is adding 1. So, write 1 more. So I add another 1 to the midpoint. And the x value describes the horizontal movement. So all you have to do is add 1 to 3 to get a 4. So your answer is simply 4, 8. That's it. Now, we don't need a graph. We don't even need a graph to set it up and count it. All you have to do is find the difference. So watch the magic here. Watch the magic here. How do we go from a 0 to a 6? What do I add? Because I'm going x to x. Just shout it out. 6. Yay, add 6. And do it one more time. Lo mismo. Add 6 again. So 6 plus 6 is 12. Grandmother, what are yours? And now, to get from an 8 to a negative 10, what do we subtract? 18. And now we repeat that. Subtract 18 again to get negative 28. And you can now do it.